Straight in with the cough. Yes.
Absolutely loving it, man. Absolutely loving
it. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good, except for having a stupid ass cough. Still got it. Still going on. Maybe I should
Lingering.
go. Maybe I should go to the doctors.
Why
I
not?
don't know, or not. What are they going to tell me? Who knows? Anyway, here we are, a year on.
Here we are.
Loving life.
This is it. We're 1 year old.
1 year. Woo!
Woo, party. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
It is a year since we recorded and released our first episode. And in that time, we've done 28 episodes. We've interviewed a huge number of guests, and we've had a blast, haven't we?
Yeah, we've had a laugh.
We've enjoyed it. I mean, nobody else has, but we've enjoyed it.
I don't know what you mean. We're global. We're global, and I don't care who knows.
We're global, baby.
Oh God.
We've met some awesome. It really is. We've met some awesome people along the way in real life as well as on Zoom.
Yep.
And we've got some awesome guests lined up for the next few episodes already. So
yes,
things are going pretty well so far. So far, so good, as they say.
Yeah. It's weird because I do facial expressions, but it doesn't matter because nobody can see them.
No, I mean, we could sit here just flicking the nose at each other the whole time.
Yeah.
And nobody would know.
No. Did we or didn't we? Nobody would.
Oh, we should have a little competition. Is Wes giving me the finger virtually? Yes or no? Write in, and then we'll pick answers on a postcard.
Not sure how appropriate that would be.
I'll edit that bit out. Anyway,
is Wes giving me the finger, even across Zoom?
Yeah. Now, before we get too carried away, I'm just going to give a little shout out to our friend of the show and guest of episode 3, Paul, who was taken a bit ill over last weekend and has had a little stay in hospital, but he's back home now, raring to get back to parkrun, despite what Mrs. Paul says. So hope you get better soon, Paul. I know he listens to the episodes. He bizarrely listens to some of them more than once. Which is more than you. Mate, which is more than you and I do.
Is that why you went to hospital?
That might be it. Actually, they went to get his brain checked. Yeah.
Bless his heart. Yeah, get well soon, Paul. Hope you're okay.
Yeah, get well soon, mate. And we'll catch up soon. Good. Okie dokie. So our first anniversary. We've got a very special guest today. It's someone we've been trying to get on for ages, and it's I don't know whether to say it or not, say who it is or not, and we'll just introduce them, and it'll be a big. What do you think?
We could give a few clues, and then like when he comes on, just go. It's Jordan from VCO.
Yeah, what clues should we give?
What clues could we give?
Apart from his name and where he's from. Oh, brilliant. That's hilarious.
So
yeah,
so
it's Jordan from... Yeah, go on.
No, I don't know. I was trying to think of some stupid clues.
Well, you just said who it is.
I know, but you can edit that out.
Well, edit out Jordan from Vegan Campout.
So confused.
Yeah. Me too. But it'll be good. And we will... excuse me. Yeah, so we'll ask him about Vegan Campout and the origins of that, and about his vegan story, because I'm quite keen to see, what his background is, where that's all come from.
Yeah, definitely. Be an interesting one, wouldn't it? I can't believe he said yes. I can't believe he said yes. Does he know who we are?
I don't think he does, which is probably why he said yes. Because surely if he'd listened, he wouldn't waste his time on a bunch of nobodies like us. But we'll see. So, right, have you seen?
Oh
no, I saw this on the London Underground the other day at Westminster Station, which is near where I work. A company called Gen V They're a vegan company, and they've basically bought all the advertising spots in Westminster Station
Oh wow. Huh.
and are trying to get the Prime Minister to go vegan. And
Yeah,
if
I
he
have seen that.
does, yeah, they're trying to get him to adopt a plant-based diet for 1 month, which is not vegan. But anyway,
Yeah.
they're trying to get him to adopt a plant-based diet for at least 1 month in exchange for £1 million donation to charity.
Right.
And I think it's a good way of raising the profile of veganism,
Yep.
but there's no way he's going to do it.
No. No, even if he says he'll do it, he'll go into number 10 and have a sneaky burger.
And also, you can't go vegan for a month. You're either vegan or you're not. You can go plant-based.
Yeah.
But everywhere it says go vegan for a month, and it's not really what it is it?
No.
Yeah, so I just thought it was a bit of it's a weird. I don't know. It just seems
I
like
get
it's
what they're trying to do. In fairness, I think if let's put a positive spin on it, because that's always a good thing. If all it's done is raise the profile of veganism somewhat, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it on any level. He can do a speech saying, yeah, I'm going to do it. And you can have, here you go, here's £1 million out of my own pocket. That's pennies to him. And
yeah, that's true. For someone who's worth £750 million, yeah, million's nothing to him, isn't
it? He'll come out and say, yeah, I'm going to do it. Here you go. But he won't be doing it. If it's done nothing more than promote veganism on a load of advertising boards, then happy days, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that might be the angle that they're going for.
Yeah.
Is let's just flood a station, one particular station with adverts. I've seen it on tube trains as well. It's in a lot of places, and we're recording this in Veganuary, aren't we? So there's a lot more products in the shops. In a lot more advertising of plant-based foods and stuff. So
yeah.
It's on the back of that, and it's just more visible to people, isn't it? So
yeah,
maybe it'll get other people considering it.
Absolutely,
which can only be a good thing.
So last year we did a little bit of positive news from the week. We weren't very good at it, but we kept doing the little.
Well, there wasn't very much.
I've actually finally now found the Instagram account that comes from, and it's at Live Kindly.
Yep.
So, in the last week, the ozone layer is on track to recover completely by 2066.
Oh, just in time for all the water to run out and
that's the one.
Yep. Yeah, and the polar ice caps to melt.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Yeah.
So no rhinos have been poached last year in the world's biggest reserve. So rhino hunting is on its way out, which is good.
Nice.
This is kind of in the news quite a lot, I think. But New York is banning forever chemicals from clothing by the end of the year.
Very good.
I'm not 100% sure what that is, but California have done it as well, haven't they? They've banned all that sort of nonsense.
Forever chemicals are things often in things like makeup and stuff, and literally they don't biodegrade.
Right.
They're literally there forever.
Right.
So they're trying to stop that as a way of pollution.
Gotcha. The big UK supermarket, whichever that is, Waitrose, has stopped selling single-use vaping products. Who cares?
Single-use what?
Vaping products.
Oh, for God's sake!
Yeah.
Is that the sound of a barrel being scraped?
I think so.
So it was.
Hello.
1 year on.
Hello.
What have you learned in the last year from doing the podcast?
What have I learned? I've learned there's I don't know. That's a tricky one, I guess.
I tell you, I've learned a lot more.
You tell me yours, and I'll steal some of that.
Well, so from our guests, the ones that I've learned the most from, I think, are the ones who have been the sort of the activists who are the ones out there on the streets. People like Carrie, Martin in Sweden.
Yeah.
Martin 2, if you like.
Martin 2.
even Martin One, who goes and helps at the animal sanctuary, and things like that just make me feel like I should be trying to get more involved in stuff rather than just sitting behind a desk all the time.
Yeah. So
But
I
yeah,
am going to come in on the back of that for
go
mine.
on.
That any activism that you can do is good activism. If that's
True.
doing this podcast, that's our main one. Sharing
Mhm.
stuff on social media. I can't remember who it was. I don't know if I'm sure it was one of our guests, but I've also seen it somewhere else that when you sat on the toilet scrolling through social media, you can share there. That's activism, and you sat on the toilet, so that's good. But also, I've grown a lot more confident in discussing things with people.
Yes, that's a good
If
shout.
if if if, no,
Yes.
if nothing more, I have grown confident in justifying my arguments to people.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. That's a
because
brilliant one.
because from one of the things about the question we have about what advice would you give to people, it's don't one. I think I said it, and I still stand by it. Is don't try and argue with people until you learn enough, because you will fall flat on your face.
Yeah.
That's why I kept mine quiet for a good 12, 12 months, 2 years, and
Hmm.
then I felt I've got a bit of knowledge here, so I can justifiably go into a discussion with somebody. But that being said, I still nobody knows everything.
No.
But the stupid bingo questions we get, I can come back to people with.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like I've got some good answers for those now, and yeah, that's a really good shout. Actually, I do feel more confident just through having talked to other people about it, because that was something that I didn't do, and having in the early days watching some of the YouTube videos and stuff like that from people who I couldn't really relate to, but
Yeah,
talking to normal people and hearing normal people's stories, normal people like me,
yeah,
how to deal with questions at work and all that sort of thing. It's yeah, it's definitely helped.
absolutely.
Definitely helped.
I've got
So
a whole load more vegan products. Favorite vegan products are just going out the bloody
oh
door.
my God, yes,
Ridiculous.
absolutely. It's
McDonald's have suddenly
insane.
gone double McPlan. I mean, you can't. How do they top that? Who knows? And I had a Burger King bacon double thingy. What's it the other day?
I was going
That
to ask you about
that was good. However,
that.
needs a bit more sauce in it. I don't like
Oh,
dry.
is it a
I
bit
don't like
dry?
dry. Yeah, I don't like dry. I need sauce in my food.
Hmm. Yeah,
But yeah, I had
I
one of
get
them. That
that.
was good.
Awesome.
And today I went into Asda and I
Yep.
had a bacon lettuce uh, BLT sandwich
Hmm.
and a prawn sandwich. That was quite scary because I genuinely had to double check the packing about 4 times
Oh,
because
no way.
I shit you not, it looked like prawns, it tasted like prawns, and it even felt like I was eating prawns. And I was
Oh
like,
my God.
Jesus. It was really, really, really close. I mean, you've said about burgers before, how burgers, some of that's a
Bit too close sometimes.
bit close to tasting like meat that you weren't happy about. This was
Mm.
this was crazy, crazy.
Wow.
Like, just the texture was like, oh man, bizarre. Yeah.
Excellent. So if you're one of our awesome listeners and you've learned some stuff over the last year of any of the episodes that you've heard, we'd love to find out what you've learned, um, how things have changed since you've been listening to the podcast, anything. We'd love to hear it. And
Absolutely.
you can send us a message via the usual social media channels, and you can find us on Facebook, on our How I Vegan podcast tribe. We've
Yes,
got some new listeners who have listened to the previous episode, who have jumped in. So please come and join us. It'd be awesome.
it would be good.
Just so you know, Jordan, it's
Yeah.
our first birthday this episode.
Oh,
It's a
cool.
year since we started recording the podcast. So
Nice.
you're like our special birthday guest.
Cool.
But we haven't made a cake or anything. So yeah, so our guest today, we're very, very excited. Vegan Camp Out has been something that we've mentioned so many times throughout our episodes in the lead up to and afterwards. Loads of our guests that we've had on have been at Camp Out or will be going to Camp Out. So we are very, very excited to welcome the head organizer, the top boss, Jordan. Welcome.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for having me. And yeah, it's cool that it's your first birthday as a podcast. So yeah, congrats and happy birthday to that.
Is it today you've been down to Bicester for the for a recce?
Yeah, it was actually it was 2 days ago now that we went, but
okay.
Yeah, we just posted it tonight.
And how did it go? Does it all look good?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, a bit hard to kind of it was just really cold actually, to tell you the truth.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But so it's kind of hard to think or feel anything when it's so cold outside. But yeah, it was good. We had some really good meetings and kind of got a lot of stuff together. Did the site plan and kind of worked out where everything's going to go. So yeah, it's coming along really well.
Awesome. Okay.
Fantastic.
Because we're what 7 months away now, aren't we? And
yeah.
Yeah.
March, April.
So the lineups. yeah. So the lineup's been announced. The music lineup's been announced. It's very exciting. I was just saying to Wes that I'm looking forward to seeing Sam Ryder.
Yeah.
I might try and pick up some hair tips. We both went to Camp Out last year. That was our first one.
Yeah.
Although our wives had been the year before together.
Cool.
And it's just massive. The organization that must go into it. Is it your full-time job?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot to do for it for sure.
Yeah. So how far in advance are you working now? Like, so you just posted to Instagram about your recent trip down to the site you said about doing the site plan and stuff. So, but how far in advance are you looking? Are you already looking at next year?
Yeah. Oh, I get what you mean. Yeah, I mean, slightly, probably not next year too much for now. I mean, next year still is always kind of in a conversation of planning because it's still kind of trying to do things that can, remain somewhat similar for the year after. And I think the biggest thing is that whenever I book the lineup and kind of get that sorted, everyone that kind of says no for that year automatically becomes like a strong contender for the next year. So like in terms of that, I have a good idea about the people we want back for next year and also people that have never been before. But except from that, yeah, we're probably only like organizing this year. Really, that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, sure. And as obviously as you get closer to the end of July, it's going to be all about this year for a bit, isn't it? Before you start focusing too much on the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
So much yeah.
Yeah, next year's things won't really properly start until this year's over. And even then, I like to try, it doesn't always happen, but give myself like 4 weeks off to go traveling and stuff and then come back and then it's all full
start all over again.
Yeah.
Okay. A bit like Santa Claus. You spend all year just for one event and then you have a little bit of a rest and then start all over again. That's for people who have kids. So but just before Christmas you were in Australia as well. Was that for Camp Out Australia?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I wanted to go back this year anyway because I hadn't been back since just before COVID hit. But yeah, so I wanted to go back, and we've been talking about setting up Vegan Camp Out Australia out there for a while, and so yeah, I kind of just married the two things together, which was good. We got to go and visit the site that it's gonna be at, kind of put together a plan. Hopefully, everything going well, it should be kind of announced probably within a month. So yeah, that's also something we're concentrating on right now. Like
Mm.
we won't be kind of like fully organizing the event. We have like a team out there who are going to be doing that, but we're kind of like, helping them with it type thing. And but yeah,
supporting
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
But yeah, it's cool that Vegan Camp Out is going to be starting in different locations around the world, and we certainly have plans to set up in other countries over the next kind of 12 to 18 months. So yeah.
Awesome. Going global. That's tremendous. There were certainly, I remember there were certainly people from quite a long way away who came to Camp Out last year. On the Facebook group, there were
Yeah.
people saying, I'm flying in from, yeah, I'm sure there were people who came in from Australia.
Yeah,
Certainly
Australia's a
from
big
way across Europe. Yeah.
Yeah, Australia's quite a big location. America as well. I think we have around 40 countries around the world that come to travel each year. So
Wow.
it's a lot. It was probably more, it would have been higher in 2021. Oh no, that was still after it probably would have been higher in 2019. There wasn't that many in 2021, but last year it started to pick up again. With most places being able to fly again by the last event. So I think
Yeah.
this year, even more so, we'll definitely see even more international travelers and a wider range of countries that come, which is always amazing that people want to pay more for a flight than the actual price of a ticket. So that shows
That's true.
that shows dedication, especially like people used to come from Australia in 2017, and I'd be like, you're paying like 700-ish return pounds for an event that was about probably £30 back in 2017. So
Wow.
that always was very shocking to me. But yeah, it's probably become
Yeah.
quite normal now that people just travel from all over.
Shows the importance of it, I suppose. How
Yeah.
people react to that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's tremendous. So it's 2016 was the first one, if I got that right? Yeah. Okay. So that's incredible expansion in just a few years, especially as you mentioned with COVID in the middle of all that as well.
Yeah, exactly. 2016 was the first one. I always say that 2017 was the first like proper one, because the 2016 one wasn't a festival. It wasn't meant to be a festival. It was more just like a one-off day event that was only called Vegan Camp Out because kind of that's what it was. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like a business name or a brand name. It was just to call that day something on Facebook. And yeah, never planned to do it again. But then the day after, when people were leaving, and I saw people crying, leaving, saying that it was the best night of their life.
Oh my
I didn't think
God.
it was. Yeah, even I didn't think it was that good. Like I had a great time, but like it was just 400 people in a field, kind of drinking and having a bit of a party. But yeah, when I saw that reaction, I kind of went home and I was like, right, if I actually turn this into like a multiple day thing, and we get speakers from all over the world, and we have stalls and food vendors and proper parties, and get everything done properly, health and safety wise, and all of that. And that's kind of where the idea kind of came from, the first one, as opposed to the idea coming before the first one, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That a random one-off event kind of inspired the idea to actually turn it into a proper annual festival.
Wow. So when did you take the jump into it being like a full-time job?
Yeah, I was still working for the 2017 one because I didn't want to quit my job when, like I say, that really was the first festival. There was a lot more risk. I took out, loans and overdrafts and credit cards and all the rest to make it happen. So I think it probably would have been maybe in the lead up to the 2018 one that I officially quit my job, maybe even at the end of 2017, once the 2018 one had been announced, is when I quit my job and started doing it full time. And it needed like the full time at that point because 2018 we changed venue again. That's when we moved to Newark Showground, and in the same way 2017 was the first proper festival. Looking back now, it was still kind of like an outdoor market that had camping, and I feel by the time it got to 2018, that really was like kind of did put it at the level of being a fully fledged festival with like big kind of like, because even the 2017 one, all the speakers we had were just people who were kind of like known and had a bit of a following within the vegan community. But by the 2018 one, we'd actually started to get like properly famous people that had agents and were off the TV.
Oh, wow.
What's the word?
You had to
musical
pay them.
artists. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Established,
and
people with established followings and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, I kind of needed to quit my job and kind of go at it full time. And that's really where the growth has been kind of like since 2017 and 2018 to now. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now I've got one more question before I stop gabbing on and let Wes get a chance to ask something. But so last year when you announced Romesh as the headliner for this year, which we're very excited about, you said he was consistently the second most voted for person as someone people wanted to be the headliner.
Yeah.
So who is the most voted for person?
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix is.
Oh, okay. I thought. Yeah, that's fair. And funnily enough, he doesn't return your calls.
Well, we have got somewhat close to him through a few mutual friends. It's more just like he's never said no or yes. It's more that his own mutual friends didn't really want to ask, but not because they didn't want to do us a favor, but because they already kind of said he just won't do it. Like he wants to put his time to things that are kind of going to make a big impact. And so I understand how, speaking at Vegan Camp Out, because it's not like it will be a money thing. And unless we were to say like, I don't know, unless we would say we'll donate $5 million to like a charity of your choosing, then the kind of money we could afford wouldn't be worth him getting on a plane for. So I get it.
Right. Yeah.
I hope one day we can. I think if we can ever speak to him and really kind of sell the idea of the event to him, then that's the best chance. But going through mutual friends or agents, probably isn't gonna happen for a while. But again, by the time Vegan Camp Out gets into America, which is something we're looking at the moment, then it might be something that is an easier job over there than it is here.
Yeah, if it's just if it's not far from where he lives and it's just a car ride or a short journey, then it might be a bit easier to convince him rather than flying all that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that would be tremendous though, wouldn't it? Yeah. But nevertheless, I mean, Romesh is a massive name to have at Camp Out. That's really, really exciting because he's not just known for being vegan. He's known for in his own right as talent, isn't he?
Exactly.
So that's really, really exciting.
Yeah, and there's still plenty. Like it's never been about getting the most famous person we can at Camp Out. Like it's been amazing that we got Russell Brand, who was the third most requested, and then we got Romesh. But it's not. There's still so many people that have never been to Vegan Camp Out, and then there's always people who haven't been in many, many years. Who it's good to get back at the event because people haven't seen them for a few years. But also, there's always new people at the event that would have never seen them at Vegan Camp Out. So in all of the people that have already been at the event, and then all of the people that were still due to get at the event, there's so many things we can do with the lineup each year. And the other thing is there's always new people going vegan as well, so that always keeps things exciting. That when new whether there are vegan activists that kind of gets a name for themselves and blows up, or there's a music act or a comedian or a sports person who goes vegan, that's always adding to our list of potential future names. So yeah.
Good. Well, you're doing great
cool.
work.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And you always see loads of posts from people who say, I wasn't vegan, I just went with a friend who was, and then I came away and that's it. It's vegan all the way and all that kind of thing. So it definitely makes a change. I mean, obviously most of the people there are going to be vegan because the clue's in the name, but you are going to get others there who they maybe just need that little push over the line. So yes, it's really great.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people there who aren't vegan. It's hard because we don't really have the stats for it and haven't really bothered to get them. But I'd say it's probably only as low as like 75 to 80% of those that are vegan, because there's just so many non-vegans that come with their friends and with their partners who just buy a ticket because probably partners more than anything. There's certainly a lot of non-vegan guys that come with their female partners. So I think there's a lot of non-vegans, and we're always seeing every year, dozens and dozens of messages or comments from people that weren't vegan and have come away either decided to completely go vegan, or at least check it out more, or start doing what they can, and everything is positive change. So
awesome.
Absolutely fantastic.
So Jordan, then what's your vegan story then? Where did you make the change? What were your reasons for doing so?
So I'd never really kind of thought about it before. The only two things that kind of were in my head was, I remember as a kid walking into a KFC with my mum and being handed a leaflet that said Kentucky Fried Cruelty, and I found that interesting.
Wow.
I don't know if there was even a link to. There might have been a link to a website. I don't think I watched it, but I still found the idea of like, oh, maybe there's something else going on, like interesting. So that was like a small seed. And then I remember someone, when I used to live in Australia, kind of giving me a hard time about not being vegan, but I probably interpreted that quite negatively and just thought they were really rude. But I still think it was a seed that was planted. And then one day, me, my sister and her boyfriend at the time were just probably on YouTube, and a video by Steve-O, who ironically isn't actually vegan anymore, but he a video of his came up called What Came Before, and it was just like a farm video of like all the different animals that are typically killed, kind of what came before, the finished product that people see in the shops. And we all watched that, and at the end we all just kind of said to each other like, oh, we've got to go vegetarian now, because that was just what the video was about at the time. It's not really anything that we wanted to, it's just we felt we had to, if we were to be people that care about what's happening to animals, and if we're in any way partly responsible for that, then that was the right thing to do. And long story short, it was then probably another year or two. But weirdly, like, a lot of people say, oh, you can't be an animal rights activist as a vegetarian, and I actually was like, I would be going to like demonstrations and stuff, and eventually I knew that I should go vegan. And when I was like posting things online, I would still say go vegan as opposed to like go vegetarian. But I knew I just needed like some time. Like, once I do something, I always stick to it. So eventually I gave myself a date, just like I gave myself a date to stop eating meat. And in both cases, I knew from that day I would never eat meat again, and then from the vegan day would never have dairy or eggs again, or at least not in the traditional form of factory farming and animal farming, lab grown meat, and all of them kind of things are a different thing, but you don't think about them things at the time. And from that day, which I think was around August 2015, that's when I set the date And then it's crazy that only like 7 months later, I was planning the first vegan camp out. So it all kind of happened
Oh,
quite
wow.
quickly, really. Yeah.
That's a really quick sort of I guess induction into the lifestyle and everything, isn't it? To go from
Yeah.
just like a new vegan to straight into organizing what's now turned into this, huge global event.
Yeah. And it would have only been probably 4 or 5 months after that I got a job with animal equality. So very quickly it became kind of, my
Your
job,
whole
and then
life.
my side passion at the time of vegan camp out, which, yeah, like I said, then eventually ended up becoming a full-time gig.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Okay. So what's been the biggest struggle for you as a vegan?
Yeah, maybe, like, I have to be honest, otherwise there's no point answering the question. So like maybe maybe nothing in terms of like, oh, the biggest struggle was like giving up cheese or giving up chicken, because I think in that sense I found it quite easy. But for me, which isn't really going to apply to anyone else unless they have a successful vegan business, but for me the biggest struggle has just been all the backlash, within the vegan community itself. So it's been vegans themselves as opposed to kind of like outside family or friend pressure, because I turned all of my friends and most of my family vegan quite quickly. So I didn't really have to deal with any of that. And like I say, there wasn't any struggle with giving anything up, but the stress of running my own business and the backlash and the cancel culture, which is so rife within the vegan community, that is by far, like, I can't even think of a second most stressful thing, really. So it just exclusively has to be that, really.
Yeah, that
Mm.
vegan infighting is a nightmare, isn't it? You know, we've
Yeah.
said we've said before on various sort of episodes we've done about how, vegans themselves will slag another vegan off for, you haven't done
Yeah.
this right, you haven't done that right. And actually, no one's perfect, and we all do what we
No,
can,
Mm.
and there's no need
exactly.
for it.
Yeah. And there's obviously there was generated controversy last year around the location of Camp Out, because it was on
Yeah.
that particular estate. And
Yeah.
previously you mentioned it had been on Newark Showground.
Yeah.
That wasn't popular. What are people not going to like about it being at Bicester Heritage this year?
We'll love
Nothing
it.
really.
We'll love it, Jordan.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll love it, but
We're on your side.
No, I know it's all right. I can joke about anything in any light term. But yeah, no, nothing really. Like from an ethical stance, like that was one of the great things about changing venue. I mean, I thought we were going to be at Stamford Hall next year, but then things kind of happened behind the scenes that just meant it wasn't a good idea. And things to do with the venue itself, council and licenses, and all the rest. So we made the decision to move again, which was frustrating because we'd already moved from Newark Showground to Stamford Hall. But in the end, really, it ended up being a great decision, because even though I stand by the decision to be at them venues, it's not like I don't know that there are a lot of people that are, unfortunately, in my opinion, very black and white, very, I can't be anywhere unless it's 100% vegan, which they're not actually even consistent with, which is the hilarious thing. It's only us they would attack. They didn't attack any other vegan event for being at non-vegan venues, and they wouldn't not go to weddings that were held at estates, and they wouldn't go to, not go to cinemas or
Yeah.
supermarkets or
I
anything
was
that
going to say,
profited from the abuse of animals. So I still stand
yeah.
by everything I defended the camp out and the venue on, but at the same time, it is good that for that portion of people that feel that way, which isn't me and isn't most people that come to the event, that they can now come to the event, and more importantly, aren't going to try and sabotage it. And in a way, even though I will always disagree with cancel culture in every sense, at the same time, many of them have put their money where their mouth is and have actually messaged me on a personal level and said, even though I attacked you very like viciously last year, I do want to thank you for changing the venue, and now me and my friends or me and my family will buy tickets to the event. So, you know, I am,
Wow.
yeah, I am happy about that. So, you know, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's been a good decision that can hopefully, you know, bring more people together, stop some of the infighting, because it's not like it just affected us. You know, everyone who was going on Facebook at that time was seeing that infighting as well, and people were being attacked just for going to vegan
Mm.
camp out, which then became, rather than like an issue between us and the people attacking us, it became a, you're either like pro camp out or anti camp out type thing amongst vegans again. And it goes back to
Yeah.
what you were saying, Wes, of like, yeah, in fighting where vegans, and it was only some, and it was only the ones on that side of the argument, were wanting to call everyone else, like, you know, I saw statuses saying like, oh, you're not even vegan, or
Yes.
remove me as a friend now if you're going to vegan camp out. And actually, in a way, that probably caused a lot of support for us, because then there were so many statuses of people that probably didn't defend us before, which, you know, they didn't need to, but because they were being attacked, made them kind of post about how toxic this infighting is and how they're going to continue to support us, and that vegans need to come together to support vegan camp out. So in a way, it actually kind of, I think they ended up losing a lot of support for whatever their cause was. But hey, for now, from a venue point of view, we're all good. But like I say, it's not just about us and me. I just want the community to kind of get along and be more mature and civil, and, you know, yeah, not so black and white in general. And, you know, hopefully that will happen, but I don't always count on it.
Whenever I've had them discussions with people, I've always said I wouldn't want to organise a festival. So fair play to you.
Yeah, it's hard, man.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And like I say, I never thought. Yeah, it is twofold. Like, I never thought there would be the stress of just organising a festival to this degree. Like, I'd always had promotional and experience with putting on gigs and then like putting on tours, which I thought was a lot of stress. But then kind of running your own festival and not having a full team like most festivals have, and so me kind of doing the role of like 2 or 3 people, it is a lot. So then when you get attacked by, you know, I don't want to say my own community, because it's just people, and it's not very nice people that I don't feel I share a community with anyway, but people who are meant to be so-called part of your community, it definitely makes the stress 10 times worse. But on the flip side, like, you know, I have so much, you know, I'm so proud of what I've accomplished, and, you know, even you guys wanting me to come on here and speak about it, and all of the people we've brought together and the things we've accomplished, and you know, all of that side means way more to me than the stress of actually putting on the event. So
yeah, definitely, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said obviously your sister is one of your supports in organising everything, and you said that it was yourself, her, and her boyfriend at the time that watched that Steve-O video. But what did the rest of your friends and family think about it when you made that decision to go vegan?
Yeah, they were very very supportive. My mum didn't really understand it at the start, you know, and then when I went from vegetarian to vegan, you know, she was, you know, also didn't understand that, but at the same time she'd just started to kind of understand the reasoning for being vegetarian, and then, you know, and then she kind of had to catch up with the reason of being vegan. But yeah, all of my friends were very supportive. No one was like rude or dismissive, and then one by one they'd all start to go vegetarian, and then all start to go vegan as well. So yeah, that side of things was very easy for me, which I feel very lucky for, because I know a lot of people get it quite hard, either by their friends or by people at school or their own family, or even kind of the annoyance of being in a relationship with someone that's not vegan, and you see relationships break up and everything. So yeah, I was definitely quite lucky in that sense. It was quite easy for me.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay, so here's a key bingo question for you.
Okay.
Something we ask all of our guests. Where do you get your protein and other nutrients?
I don't know if I meant to answer this seriously. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure I get it in no different way to how any other vegan gets it. But yeah, people should know that there's other foods that have protein other than meat for sure.
That's it. We do ask it as a bit of a joke, to be honest, but it's because it's one of those key questions that you get asked, like that one, or
Yeah,
if you were on a desert island and there was just you and a pig,
yeah,
what would you do? That sort of thing. But
exactly.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, again,
uh,
I've never really been asked them questions for me, but again, I think it was
really,
because yeah, but again, I think it's because when I turned again, I say vegetarian because it was that like stage one, and then going vegan. But at both of them stages, I would very quickly get everyone around me to kind of follow suit. So I never really had to deal with that. And then yeah, I guess I'm so kind of trapped within the vegan bubble that I don't meet all that many non-vegans. I mean, I obviously do in terms of traveling, but they're like very short altercations and of interactions, and obviously you're not telling
yeah.
every person you meet that you're vegan. So I haven't really had to deal with that. But I have you
Yeah.
did used to hear it more when I do like on street activism and stuff for
Yes,
sure.
I bet.
So,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Cool. So apart from running one of the biggest vegan festivals in the entire world, Jordan, what's the best thing about being vegan?
Best thing about being vegan. Well, I guess it has to be the hopefully obvious answer of just not being a part of well, we're always, like you say, no one's perfect, so we're always going to be part of some kind of suffering in the world. But it's that living your life in a more consistent way and not being a part of certain, industries like, factory farming of meat, dairy and eggs, and other industries which I guess a lot of meat eaters aren't part of anyway, like the fur industry. But it's not obviously just about what you eat, it's about all the different areas of things you don't wear and things you won't support in terms of sport. So yeah, it's just not being part of them industries anymore. That's why hopefully it should be the right thing to do. But in a positive sense, I guess being vegan is good because you're part of a new community, even despite everything I was saying a few minutes ago. But that
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously there is still a strong community aspect in there, and it also gives you yeah, kind of something new to do in life, especially for maybe people that don't have such a crazy life, and they live a very normal life where things might have become quite samey or mundane. It kind of gives you something new to research and put your energy into, and new recipes, and also kind of, I guess, makes you feel good and gives you a platform to inform and educate others around you on the topic. So yeah, they're
Yeah.
all the good things about it.
Yeah, that's definitely the case for me. I think it just opens your. I feel like it just sort of opens your mind up to new
Yeah,
stuff, because if you can change the way you think about your food, and like you say, your
yeah,
food and your actions and your what you wear, then what else can you change?
yeah,
It's
that's true actually.
the possibilities are endless, aren't they? Really.
Yeah, I definitely think
Um.
I've learned to question everything more since going vegan. So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely makes you more of a free thinker as well,
Mm,
which is something I'm quite passionate about anyway. But being vegan was kind of like another example of that for me, of thinking for yourself and questioning everything. So yeah.
so when you went vegan then, how did things change for you, either physically or mentally?
They didn't really. Yeah, I can't say there was any physical or mental changes. I mean, obviously my life did change massively, and therefore my mental state was different because I was thinking about new things and doing new things. But I don't know if actually being vegan is what caused that, or that more than, kind of my
Mm.
life just changing, and therefore obviously that's going to have an impact and take me in a totally different direction. But yeah, apart from that, not I can't really think of it anyway.
No problems.
Fair
Okay, no,
enough.
that's cool.
Not a
Yeah.
problem at all. So, what is your favorite vegan product at the moment?
Um, hmm. Yeah, I did think about this earlier. I never really have a favorite vegan product. I mean, something that's obviously unhealthy, and I don't always like to support them. But the McPlant is good from McDonald's. But like, yeah, I don't like to have that too often. I like to support, obviously vegan companies much more. So yeah, I mean, I like the This Isn't Chicken range. I think
Oh yeah,
they're good.
Yes.
I think I had some new Herrera. I don't know actually how you say the name properly, but Herrera sausages. I bought them from the supermarket. They were good. Um, yeah, I don't really know about anything necessarily at the moment specifically. Um, so yeah, I kind of think more fast food when it's like new things that have just come out. I know there's a whole new range at Asda, the I think OMF, or I think it's
OMV.
OMV,
oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
OMV, yeah, that's one.
Yes, we've had a few bits of those, yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't. I think maybe I've tried one or two things, but yeah, I don't know. There's so much there's so much out there now that it's not kind of as much of a big thing, I think, when something new comes out. Whereas a few years ago, it was definitely way more like that when everyone would like
Mm.
rush to the shops to buy the newest product or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You mentioned the McPlant, and the OMV. The OMV burger mayo
Yeah.
tastes like I remember the sauce you get in a Big Mac.
Oh yeah.
So I think a McPlant with the OMV burger mayo would be a pretty good combo.
Yeah, or just a Big Mac
If they did a
with
big
mayo.
Yeah.
plant mac, that would be like
Yeah.
tremendous.
Yeah, Big
I mean,
Macs were
no
way
good for the
better.
waistline or anything, but
Yeah, Big Macs were way better than just a standard burger because yes, the sauce, but also and the double burger, but also
yeah,
just so much more lettuce, which is like on on a McPlant, there's very little,
yes.
Yeah.
kind of salad. So if they can
Mm.
make the same Beyond Burger into a Big Mac, that I would definitely be very excited about that.
Yes.
This is brilliant because I can't believe last year I was on about the McPlant and I said they need to double up on it. Then they did.
Yes. What else are you going to suggest, Wes? Come on. They're obviously
This is
listening.
hey, this
We've
is
got the ear of McDonald's, haven't we?
this is Jordan. This is Jordan's idea. This sounds amazing.
Yeah, now we need to protest for the vegan Big Mac for sure.
Yeah, vegan Big Mac and the vegan chicken sandwich, perhaps.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing.
Okay, so what advice would you give to anyone who's thinking about going vegan?
Um, don't, despite what some people might say, don't feel like you have to do everything all at once because that's going to be a big jump for anyone. Learn information, decide for yourself that that's what you want to do and that you kind of have the know-how to be able to do that. Like I said, it's going to be more tricky if you're living in a house with non-vegans, especially. I don't know, if you're kind of still living with your parents and you kind of need them on side. So, you know, maybe, and that's why I think subconsciously I got all of my friends and family to go vegan, because I didn't want them to feel like, well, why is he doing something that's so strange? So maybe this isn't kind of the advice that most people would give, but I actually would say, rather than have to defend yourself and feel isolated, which could make you less likely to want to do it, actually try and educate your parents and your friends in a very civil and non-judgmental way about your decision and why, you know, because at the very least, if they understand why you're doing it, even if they're not necessarily ready or even willing at all to make that change themselves, if they can understand why you're doing it, they're going to see that as a great thing that you're doing it, even if they don't want to do it. So, you know, that's going to make your life way easier in terms of them, you know, facilitating buying them products and not making you know, judgmental or negative comments towards you. So first, yeah, learn about it yourself, take your time with being able to get where you want to get, and then try and pass on that knowledge that you've learned to your peers and your family, and the whole thing will seem a lot less daunting and more easier to achieve.
That's really good. I like that.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So who's your vegan inspiration?
Yeah, I don't necessarily know. Again, I don't necessarily know if I have any necessarily now. I mean, back in the day, it was all the kind of vegans that are now, you know, kind of the household names of the vegan scene, if you like. Not that, you know, anyone is better than anyone else, but the people that have, you know, kind of developed their, you know, yeah, activism or outreach into a you know, a career and a job and a movement within their own right. But yeah, back in the day, you know, yeah, the Earthling Ebbs and Joey Carbstrongs were definitely really inspiring for me to listen to. Like I say, Steve-O definitely was originally. That was the reason I first started thinking about anything really to do with animal rights. But people in even though they might not inspire me because I'm already vegan and I don't necessarily watch all that much vegan content anymore and kind of just concentrate on my own life and running the event. But I'm still, like, rather than inspired by it, I would have a much longer list for people that I respect in the vegan movement, because even if they're not doing anything for me, like the Russell Brands and Ramesh's and Joaquin Phoenix, because they have a way bigger audience than any vegan activist could ever have. And even though they might not be speaking about it all the time, which, you know, they don't need to, you know, you don't need to do that to be a vegan, but the fact that they're not just quiet about it at the same time, and they do speak their mind, and they do, you know, from time to time again speak about the reasons for being vegan, that I respect massively, because the reach that they have and the audience that they have, which is, you know, overwhelmingly non-vegan, that, you know, I respect and look up to just as much as the activists who are doing it as a full-time thing, because we need both. We need the people that can speak to the masses, and we also need the people that are giving it their all, but probably only speaking to a small percentage. And both together is going to have, in my opinion, the biggest impact. So
yeah, there's not a one size fits all approach to this. It's got to be so many different levels and different audiences, and to get the most progress, I guess.
Exactly. And then, you know, there's forms of animal rights which technically have nothing to do with veganism, which, you know,
Mm.
animal rights charities or campaigns that are ran by or promoted by non-vegans. And again, that's fine as well, as much as we might wish they were vegan. The point is they're bringing people to the topic of animal rights, and it's all part of this like pie, if you like, all these different angles. So someone might learn about, you know, oh, they might become passionate about, you know, ending fox hunting or something like that, or ending animal testing, or even things to do with animals that everyone already loves, like the dog meat trade or things like that. And even if they never go vegan, it's going to be a positive by them doing something rather than nothing. But actually, there is somewhat of a chance by being involved in these other campaigns that you start to think about animal rights more as a overall topic. And it might be that you've been involved in a single issue campaign, and then by the time you hear some outreach by a vegan activist, your mind is going to be much more open to that message because you already, you know, care about animals. So
Yeah.
That's it. For some people it's really quick, and other people it's gonna be small steps along quite a long road, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Okay, so this might be a tricky one for you to answer, but what's your favorite vegan venue or restaurant? You can't say camp out.
Restaurant, yeah, I don't necessarily, it probably would be a restaurant rather than another kind of venue. So yeah, restaurants would be for pizza would be Pureza or Picky Wops, who aren't going anymore, unfortunately, but they're both amazing and, you know, authentically Italian, which is always cool. Yeah, there's a vegan, they call themselves, I think actually as of a few months ago this has changed anyway, but certainly last year they called themselves the UK's only fully vegan authentic Indian takeaway, which is quite a long title, but it actually was up until last year, maybe still is, but I think I saw something the other day of something else that's opened in another city. But yeah, so I love Indian food, so I went and checked them out in London. They're called Hungry Beast, I believe. That is definitely one of my best favorite places, although I've only had it 3 or 4 times. And yeah, other than that, What the Pitta is great. And maybe Happy Maki Sushi in Brighton as well. I love sushi after living in Australia for a few years and it being very, very popular there. So yeah, they're probably some of my favorite places.
That's fantastic.
So,
I like that.
I've not heard of Happy Mackie. That's a sushi bar in Brighton, did you say?
Yeah, and they're always, well, I say always, almost always at Camp Out as well when they haven't got
Oh.
another bigger festival to do on the same weekend, because
Right.
they're one of the few vegan food vendors that get to be at like the big mainstream festivals where they can, you know, sell tens of thousands of rolls over a weekend. So I don't blame them, but yeah, they've been at Camp Out a few times. I don't know if they'll be back this year, but yeah, you should definitely check them out if you've never had them before.
Okie dokie. Will do.
So we'll start to wrap things up now because we know you've got to get off as well. But
Yeah, it's all right.
So last year we had a couple of episodes where we were talking about dystopia.
Yeah.
That feeling of sort of what's the word? I've lost my train of thought.
Anguish.
Anguish over the fact that we're vegan and other people aren't, and all that sort of stuff. So we started asking people this. So do you have any hope for the future?
Yeah, I do. I always say, like, I'm not one of these people like, oh, we're gonna definitely live in a fully vegan world, because we don't live in a world where there's not other injustices. So the idea, in my opinion, like, no offense if you think this, but in my opinion, it's yeah, just a complete kind of fairy tale to think we would ever live in a fully vegan world. But I don't think we need to at the same time, in the sense of when things are made laws that things can't happen, when things do continue to happen, well, there's measures in place to treat crime, you know, in the same way we don't need there to never be any other kind of injustice, to still live in a world that for the most part is respectful of each other. So I think that we will get to a place where obviously veganism is way bigger. I think from a climate point of view, plant-based diets will have to be adopted to at least a degree from a climate point of view, but people are going to wake up to the idea of animal rights, and things might even get worse before they get better. But then at the same time, you know, with our population still rising, unless the number of vegans kind of matches that population growth, then, you know, sometimes I do feel like we're kind of losing this war just from a kind of a numbers game.
Yeah.
But like, it may come from a climate point of view that people do it, and from there they kind of learn about animal rights. I don't know, but I am very sure that in the next 5 and then 10 and then 20 and 50 years, this movement will get much bigger. I think lab grown meat will be the single biggest thing to kind of improve and push the message of veganism, which no one ever thought, you know, that would happen. But if the goal of veganism is to end factory farming as much as we can, then in that sense, lab grown meat is going to turn more people to, even if you don't call it vegan, because they're still consuming meat, they're not consuming dead or abused animals. So in that sense, that is what veganism is about to me. It's not really about what you do, it's about what you're not doing and not supporting. So yeah, I think with the climate change stuff, with lab grown meat, and then the what we call the vegan movement also continuing to grow, I think as time goes on, we'll be in a much we'll see a world that is much closer to the world that we want, even if it never gets to be in a fully vegan world.
Yeah, good point.
Yes, the lab-grown meat thing. I saw the talk in the activism tent at last year's camp out from, I think it was Rob from Plant-Based News did a talk on lab-grown meat, and it wasn't something that I'd really heard about before, and I don't think it's something that I would be interested in eating, even though I know it's not an animal. But you know, I think when that becomes cheaper for companies to produce than having to grow a pig or a cow or a chicken, then we'll be onto a winner, because it's only really the financial thing that's going to make it worthwhile, isn't it? And once the cost of mass producing it is cheaper than rearing animals, then, you know, there'll be no stopping it.
Yeah, well, I saw an article only yesterday by Ben and Jerry saying that they think that most of their milks will be lab-grown milks within the next 5 years, or something like that. It might have been 10 years. It was either, I know it was a very short period of time, and that they were saying that so because I know obviously some vegans will still have issue with like cells being taken from animals to begin with, although I think if you're a practical vegan, you should accept that will still be a hell of a lot better than we have right now. But with what the Ben and Jerry's guy was talking about, he was saying that they've developed lab-grown milk that doesn't even need to take the cells from cows to begin with, so it's fully artificial, but has the exact same properties of and, you know, proteins of animal milk. And they were saying because of that, even lactose intolerant people will be able to consume this product. So you know, that's cool as well. So
that's incredible.
And will they be able to give that to the people who make Pringles?
I don't know.
Or anybody else who hides milk powder in their products for no apparent reason.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there won't be them allergy concerns or the tiny amounts of milk in things anymore when that becomes widespread. But yeah, like you said about the costing, I think like 5 years ago, a lab grown meat burger was something like $50,000 to produce, whereas now I think it's down to about $5 to produce. So in 5 years, it's gone from like, whatever the percentage of that is, 1%, which is crazy. Now in Singapore is the first country in the world where you can go to a restaurant and order a lab grown meat burger, and the world's first lab grown butcher has just opened in Singapore as well. So things are moving very quickly in that direction. I think I will consume them products because for me it's not about the food, it's purely about the animal rights point of view. But whether you will consume them personally or not, it's amazing what is happening. And I'm glad that most vegans are supporting it. I certainly see 10 times more support than I see not support for it. So yeah, I think actually we should be behind this movement, and the quicker we can get it to becoming widespread, more and more people, I think, than ever will say, well, if I can literally have the same thing, as opposed to just something that's similar, if I can literally have the same thing without the environmental and ethical implications of the animal-based version, then why wouldn't I do it? So that's what I mean by, I think it will be the single biggest thing for the vegan movement once lab-grown meat is popularized. So yeah,
that's tremendous. What we really need is governments to be brave and sort of commit to subsidizing it in the way that they subsidize the animal industry, and but also working with people who currently work in animal agriculture and sort of retraining them and that sort of thing to sort of bring people along with them, rather than just saying, right, you lot are out of work, we've got a load of lab grown meat now, because that's not going to be popular at all.
Yeah, but and people never like the idea of people losing their jobs, and that will only rally up their side to be kind of like fight against it. So yeah, we need this transition, like you say, and completely agree.
Well, that's given me a lot of hope. That
definitely.
That's fantastic. That's real seems like real progress, and something to look forward to.
Exactly.
That's great news.
Cool.
Well, Jordan, we've reached the end. I can't believe it already. Thank you so much for joining us. We are really grateful. We know how busy you are, just because we stalk your Instagram all the time. But it's we're really grateful that you came along, and we'll try and bump into you at Camp Out, and we'll try not to fanboy too much.
If you see me, do say hi, and thank you for inviting me on as well. Means a lot.
It means a lot you've come on, man.
Absolutely.
It's so good that you've come on. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
And if you need an official podcast for Camp Out, then probably look for someone who's professional. But if you can't afford them, then come back to us.
Yeah, will do. It is something I'd love to do eventually, but with my whole long list of things, just never got around to it. So
I bet that's quite a list you'll have there.
Thank you so much, Jordan. You were a star. Cheers.
Cool. Man. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot, mate. Appreciate it.
Yeah. See you later on. Bye-bye. Well, I'm blown away. Actually, a little bit blown away.
Wasn't he great?
That was really good, man. It was.
That's what a way to celebrate our first birthday.
I know. Oh.
And got in a little beg for a spot on the official podcast.
Yeah. If you want an official podcast to sponsor you, best go and get someone else, because we haven't got any money.
Yeah, no, we got no money, but that was good.
Do you know what? That's the best argument for lab grown meat, because I'm not going. When it becomes a thing, I won't go. But
I don't think I would.
But if it means people eat more ethically and it's better for the environment, then massive check.
Yeah, because it won't take much for it to become the default.
Yeah.
That it's, you know, and in the end, it will become so much more expensive to have an animal on your plate
yeah.
because they won't be produced. You know, he said about it cost like 50 grand for a plant a lab grown burger
Yeah.
a few years ago. Now it's $5. It's going to go the other way for animal meat, isn't it? Because at the minute it's only so cheap because it's so mass produced and it's subsidized by government. So when that stops, when you lose the economies of scale and you lose the subsidies, then the cost is going to go up and it's going to become rarer. And in the end, you'll have, you know, the supermarkets may not even have it at all. It'll only be, you know, you'll have to order it online, or, you know, you go to the fanciest restaurants or something like that. And
Again,
everything else will all be lab grown.
once there's a market for it, they'll go. It's just, you know, if they can market something as simple as well-being and mindfulness, they can market lab-grown meat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's madness.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Absolutely.
there we go. Jordan of Vegan Camp Out. Wow, I can't believe it. I can't believe it came on.
Oh dear. Yeah,
Wow.
that's mad. Okay, so I haven't really got anything else to say. I feel spent after that. It's
Yeah.
It's
I just hope
that's really
everyone
exciting.
enjoys listening to it.
I hope you recorded it.
Oh, who knows?
Or it might be. Oh, actually, do you know what? It might be like our very first episode where we recorded it and there was no sound,
No.
which would be a disaster. But we'll know that it was a great episode,
Yeah.
and we'll just have to tell people that it was a great
Yes.
episode, even though there will be no proof of it.
Absolutely. It was amazing. He like told us all his secrets behind the scenes. But I'm sure it's been fine. I'm sure it will be fine.
Oh dear. Okay.
Cool, man.
Well, for those of you who have been with us from the start, which I think that's just me and you actually, and you haven't listened to any of the episodes either. So, but for those of you who have been through us with us over the last year, we are so grateful. Thanks for listening.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much.
If you want to come on as a guest and tell us your vegan story, then please do. Just come and find us on social media or send us an email.
Yeah. So I've lost the plot.
Yes,
again.
he's forgot it. Yeah.
I haven't. So yeah, if you want to get in touch with us and if you want to come on or you just want to leave a comment, send us an email to howiveganpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, guys. We'll see you next time.